Story time about the most disgusting night of my life. I was at a bar having a drink by myself. Beside me was a married couple, a female and a male. Let's call them Mark and Sophia. Well, we're having a good time. For about 3 hours, we were having a wonderful conversation. It was time for the bar to close, and the couple asked me to go to their house with them so we can continue our conversation. And I said yes because I was a little tipsy already. And honestly, I just wanted to keep the party going. Mind you, I'm a man. We got to the couple's house and they start acting very sexual in front of me. They're kissing, hugging, he's kissing her neck. I wasn't really paying attention, I was just drunk and I wanted to continue the party. 10 minutes go by and the guy offers me a glass of whiskey. And of course I take it. 5 minutes after that, he asked me to go to the bedroom. I was hesitating it because I didn't know for what. And honestly, I didn't know this couple, but I ended up saying, this is how a couple wanted me to do the dirty with a wife while the husband watched. Part 2. Disclaimer, this is not my story. So they invited me to their bedroom and I ended up saying yes. As soon as I step in the bedroom, I see this whole setup like 50 Shades of Grey type of shit. And there was also a chair facing right towards the bed. Well, the husband asked me if I ever had a three-way, and I said absolutely not, but that I was very interested. Well, he said that they're not really interested in having a three-way, but that he just wanted to watch me do the dirty with his wife because that really turned him on. Long story short, I was very, very drunk. I ended up doing it. I didn't sleep over their house because I thought that was very awkward. Ironic, right? But next day, I was so disgusted with myself and that man. Worst part of all of this is that I also got an STD. Follow me and DM me. I fell in love with my dad's best friend. And here's the story. My dad is a very well-known businessman, at least in the state that we live in. For personal reasons, I will not be saying which one it is. Well, he's very successful and he has very, very successful friends. For some reason, I've always been attracted to older men. No, I don't have daddy issues. Mom and dad are still together. Well, every month we would have a little business dinner at our house where multiple of his friends would come over and we'd just have a good time. That's where I met, let's call him Philip. I'm 19, by the way. Well, in these dinners, you have to be very, very friendly. Or at least that's what our dad tells us to do. I also have an older brother. Well, Philip would come every month, and we would have a really, really deep conversation. It wasn't in a weird way. I was just trying to be friendly. Well, in December, before Christmas, my parents decided to do this really, really big dinner. They went all out. I'm running out of time. Follow me for part 2. Also follow me on my Instagram for a giveaway. I fell in love with my dad's best friend. Part 2. Well, all the guests arrived. I was dressed up really, really nice, waiting for Philip. He arrived a little later, but that was fine. Well, later that night, he decided to tell me that he was in love with me, that all these deep conversations that we've been having, he's never had that connection with anyone, and I said same. Well, we ended up doing the dirty in my parents' bathroom. 2 months after that, we decided to tell my dad. He wasn't really happy about it, but he would always do anything to make me happy. Philip and I have been dating for a while now, and business between him and my dad has never been better. Story time on how I got caught sleeping with my teacher. A little backstory. I'm not the brightest girl. I was really struggling in middle school. I was the type that would ditch class, not go to school, and the days that I did go to school, I would always say that I was sick so the nurse would send me home. Well, my mom and dad caught on and they would make me go to school even if I was sick, because they didn't know if I was fake sick or if I was really sick. Well, it was almost the end of school year, and like I said, my grades were really, really low. Well, there was this one teacher that told me if I didn't pass that class, I would be repeating that grade. And obviously, I didn't want that because I wanted to be with my friends. So I ended up asking that person how I could make it up to them. And at first, that person said that they didn't know because it was too late. Well, whatever. A week after that, I received a text message. And it's an unknown number. Well, the text message said, hey, it's blank. Remember when you asked me how you could get your grades up? Well, I already know how you can do that, but let's talk in person. Obviously, I agreed to it. They gave me a place and a time to meet up. Running out of time, follow me for part 2. I got caught sleeping with my teacher, part 2. So my school had this like abandoned basement, and that's where we were supposed to meet after lunch. So yes, I had to skip class. It was a little sketchy for me, but honestly at this point, I was ready to do anything. Well, the day comes, we meet, and that person tells me what I need to do in order to get my grades up. When that person told me that, my heart dropped. I honestly thought they were going to tell me to like clean their house or do their groceries or something, but not do the dirty with them. Well, after 20 minutes of trying to convince me, I said yes. We weren't able to do it right there and then, but we did set up a time that same day after school. While I leave, I tell my friends what that person wants me to do. They asked me if I was going to do it, and I said yes. There's so many details to this story, but long story short, mid doing the dirty, the principal busted us. He got fired, ended up going to jail. I was in big trouble, but I did explain what happened and that he told me what I had to do to get my grades up. My parents were very disappointed. I wasn't allowed to go back to school, so I got homeschooled. Story time on how I was raised in a cult, and I didn't know anything about it. Crazy as it sounds, yes, I left 2 years ago. And honestly, I'm still scared for my life. For personal reasons, I will not be saying what religion she grew up in. A little backstory, I'm the oldest of 3 children. I have a younger sister and a younger brother. Well, let me just tell you, I even had to ask my dad when I could go pee. Because if I didn't, I would be disobeying him. And I would be going to hell. Well, we lived in a small town, and my brother, my sister, and I were homeschooled by my mother. Now, my father wasn't the leader of this cult, but he was one of the very, very strong believers. I wasn't allowed to wear makeup, wasn't allowed to wear jeans, or any type of pants. Now, this wasn't part of the cult, but I wasn't even allowed to talk to girls. I had to keep to myself. Go to part 2. I was only allowed to talk to my siblings, my mom, and my dad. Well, what I didn't realize until I hit 16 was that my parents were teaching me to be a good wife. Because at that age, my dad would pick a husband for me. At 16. Now, that's when it hit me, and I said I need to escape from this. Now, I knew that was going to be very hard, but that just wasn't the life for me. And it's really sad that I didn't realize sooner. Well, one night my dad was going to a meeting, and that's the night that I decided to escape. Sadly, I couldn't take my brother or my sister. I ran away and never looked back. I got to my nearest gas station, told them if they could call 911. I explained to them what I was living. Long story short, I was sent to a women's shelter, and I've been living here for the past 2 years, hoping that my dad never finds me. What if I told you that I knew someone that liked to do the dirty with dead people? Yes, a corpse. And he's in jail right now. And I thought this was the perfect time to tell my story. It's not really my story, but since I know him, I'll take it as mine. Well, I went to high school with this guy, and he was very, very quiet. Like, he was the nerd of the class. Good thing that I grew up in a time where we wouldn't bully. Let's call him Gus. Well, he always said he wanted to work at the morgue. And we all thought it was a little weird, but weird in a nerdy way. Not weird in a creepy, sexual way. Well, 2 years ago, I bumped into him after not seeing him for probably a good 10 years. And where was he working? At the morgue. But let me tell you, he was looking good. I'm running out of time. Go to part 2. Follow my Instagram. So he was working at the morgue. And again, this guy was looking good. Here comes the part where I throw up. He asked me out on a date. And like I said, he was looking good. So I said yes. I was recently divorced. Well, we went out on a couple dates. Yes, we did the dirty. That's the most disgusting part. But the weird part out of all of this is that he always told me to act dead. He didn't want me to move at all. Again, I was not creeped out until I found out why he wanted me to do it. Well, I didn't hear from Gus for about a week, and I was very concerned. Well, one day on my way to work, I hear on the radio that they're looking for Gus. Obviously, they say his last name. When I tell you I was in shock, I had to go to the cops, let them know that I was in a relationship with him. There was a whole investigation, and they told me that he was sleeping with a corpse. Apparently, one of his coworkers walked in on him. Yikes. Story time on how I got pregnant by another man while I was married. Well, I was in a very, very toxic relationship with someone that manipulated me so I would stay with them. And honestly, I'm a softie. Well, when I say this was a very, very toxic relationship, I mean, like, I hit him, he hit me. There was abuse from both sides. But he was my first ever. husband, first time, first baby daddy, because yes, we had a kid. Well, when our relationship was actually coming to an end, I was talking to someone that had a crush on me before I even met my ex-husband. But nothing ever happened because he was a fuck boy. Well, let's just say we hit it off from the start because honestly I had a crush on him too. Well, my husband did hate him because he knew I had a crush on him. Well, whatever. We were sleeping around for about 4 months when I found out I was pregnant. Go to part 2 and go follow my Instagram